Pursuing a desired profession is a dream for many, but some careers call with responsibilities that can directly affect people's life. This issue is particularly significant in nursing, where students may face ethical dilemmas that conflict with their personal values and personal professional responsibilities. Good morning, everyone. Today we are here to present our proposed research entitled "The Level of Moral Distress in Correlation with Ethical Dilemmas of Nursing Students in Clinical Practice." Moral distress is a significant concern among nursing students who face ethical dilemmas during clinical practice. It occurs when they know the right thing to do but are unable to act due to various constraints, according to Baghdadi et al. In 2020. When ethical challenges conflict with their personal values, moral distress may arise, according to Har et al. In 2020, as cited in Chang et al. In 2024. In the Philippines, studies have shown that nursing students experience moral distress when facing issues such as substandard care or difficulty for advocating for patients and conflicts between classroom knowledge and clinical realities. However, research on the relationship between moral distress and ethical dilemmas remains limited, particularly in Pampanga. Therefore, this study aims to determine the level of moral distress in correlation with ethical dilemmas among nursing students during their clinical practice in Pampanga, providing insight to the challenges they face and how this may affect their clinical experience.
This study aims to examine the level and relationship between moral distress and ethical dilemmas among nursing students during clinical practice. The findings may benefit the following. Nursing students. This study may help them understand the ethical challenges they may encounter and prepare them to manage moral distress during clinical practice. Clinical instructors and educators. The findings may help them recognize students' ethical and emotional challenges and provide better guidance, support, and ethics education. Academic institutions. This study may help institutions improve their curriculum and support systems to promote a healthier learning environment and better prepare students for clinical practice. Future researchers. The findings may serve as a reference for future studies concerning moral distress, ethical dilemmas, and nursing students' clinical experiences.
As per the statement of the problem, this study aims to assess the level of moral distress and correlation with the dilemmas of nursing students in clinical practices. The researchers have generated a hypothesis that will support and predict the research study. The hypothesis of the study as follows. HO there is no significant relationship in the level of moral distress and correlation of ethical dilemmas of nursing students in clinical practice. As per HO, there is a significant relationship in the level of moral distress and correlation of ethical dilemmas of nursing students in clinical practice. To address the statement of the problem in this research study, the researchers that would support and expound the background of the study. Therefore, in this study, the researchers aim to ask the following. Number 1, what is the level of moral distress of nursing students in terms of frequency and intensity? Number 2, what is the level of ethical dilemmas of nursing students in terms of intensity? Number 3, what is the relationship between moral distress and ethical dilemmas of nursing students? These research questions help the researchers to properly explore and investigate the level of moral distress in correlation to ethical dilemmas of nursing students in clinical practice in the locality of Pampanga.
Our conceptual framework follows the input-process-output model. For the input, we focus on moral distress and ethical dilemmas experienced by nursing students. For the process, we will gather data through surveys, measuring the frequency and intensity of these experiences, and analyze the result using person-hour correlation. Finally, the output will determine the level of moral distress and ethical dilemmas, as well as whether there is a significant relationship between the two variables C and D. For our research design, our study utilized a qualitative correlational research design to determine the level of moral distress and its relationship with ethical dilemmas among nursing students during clinical practice. This design allows the researchers to objectively measure both variables and examine the relationship without manipulating them.
The respondents of this study will be the third-year nursing students of Holy Angel University, using the total population sampling to minimize sampling bias. They will be chosen because their third year marks the beginning of consistent clinical exposure to relate
encounter ethical dilemmas and experience moral distress. The researchers will use an 18-item survey that can be completed in approximately 15 to 20 minutes and consists of 3 parts. The survey will gather data on the intensity of ethical dilemmas experienced by third-year nursing students. Parts 2 and 3 will use a 4-point Likert scale ranging from 1, strongly disagree, to 4, strongly agree, to quantify their experiences.
For the data gathering procedure, the researchers will first ask permission from the institution where the participants will be located. After receiving the approval, the researchers will use total sampling to include the qualified participants in the study. The survey forms. Before answering the survey, participants will be informed about the study and their rights, including their right to participate voluntarily, refuse to answer, or withdraw at any time. The researchers will also ensure that all responses are kept private and confidential. After collecting the data, the responses will be properly secured and will be processed with the help of a professional statistician. For the data analysis, the researchers will use the descriptive statistic and persons or correlation through the computer software the Jamovi project. The mean and standard deviation will be used to describe the levels of moral distress and ethical dilemmas among third-year nursing students. A 4-point Likert scale will also be used to interpret the participants' responses, ranging from strongly disagree to strongly agree. Lastly, persons R will also be used to determine the strength and direction of the relationship between moral distress and ethical dilemmas. That concludes our research proposal entitled The Level of Moral Distress in Correlation with Ethical Dilemmas of Nursing Students in Clinical Practice. Thank you for listening and have a good day.